And welcome. Our top focus at this hour, France is expected to witness disruptions in its fuel deliveries and public transport as protesters across France are set to enter another round of countrywide strikes against Macron's government's proposed pension reforms. On Tuesday, the French Interior Ministry said around 1.28 million people took to the streets, making it the highest sixth protest against the reform so far. From waste collectors to utility workers, students and teachers all marched to show their anger at the reforms. Most trains and metro services had to be cancelled and many schools closed. On the streets, demonstrators marched with banners, flags and placards denouncing what they say is a refusal to listen on the government's part. Clashes erupted in the French city of Lyon, where police launched tear gas as masked protesters hurled projectiles and firecrackers. Similar clashes between police and pension reform protesters were also reported in Nantes.
Precisely, it is the most precarious people who are going to suffer the most from their reform and who are going to serve 2 more years. It is scandalous. Mrs. Pond, she has never been a cleaning lady. She has never been a social worker for handicapped kids. She has never done work where you have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to work with cut-off hours, to work on Saturday nights, on Sundays. She does not know all that. She doesn't know what the people and the population go through. So yes, it is scandalous.
President Emmanuel Macron put the pensions plan at the center of his re-election campaign last year. His cabinet says that these changes are essential to prevent the system from falling into deficit in the coming years. But the unions do not agree. They say that small increases in contributions can do the job as well. The unions argue that the proposed measures are unfair, adding that they will disproportionately affect low-skilled workers who start their careers early, as well as women. The controversial bill is now being debated in the upper house of the French Parliament. This is after 2 weeks of halted and heated discussion in the lower house that ended without a final vote of the proposal. The centrist government is hoping to push through the reform in Parliament with the help from the right. They want to avoid a controversial mechanism that would bypass a parliamentary vote but risk action on the streets. And for more on this, we are now being joined by our correspondent Ross Cullen from Paris. Ross, good to see you. What impact are these massive protests having on the economy of the country? And is there any reaction from the president's office or the authorities?
Yeah, this morning we are seeing another strike already in progress. The next day of mobilization will be Saturday. We saw more than 1 million people on the streets, according to the police, more than 3 million according to the unions on Tuesday. The continuation today of a strike impacting people trying to get around and use the trains, not just in Paris, but also the intercity services are disrupted again, and there will likely be wider disruption this coming Saturday when the unions hope to bring again millions of people back out onto the streets as part of their next mobilization day. today. They've said that they are going to increase the frequency and increase the size of these demonstrations until the government gets the message and withdraws this legislation from Parliament. The union's not showing signs of budging with this strike continuing on Wednesday. We are also seeing rubbish collectors also going on strike on Wednesday. But the government is not budging either, and it says that it wants to continue with this legislation being discussed in the upper house, saying that the pension reform is crucial for France's future retirees.
Ross, the protesters have vowed a standstill in France should their grievances are not addressed. Any possibilities of that happening if President Macron does not stand down on the reforms?
Well, the government said that what happened on Tuesday was not a standstill. The unions had said that Tuesday would be a chance to block and paralyse the country. They wanted to, quote, bring the French economy to its knees. Speaking on Wednesday morning, the Minister of Public Accounts said that that aim did not succeed. France was not stopped. France was not blocked. But in fact, the government spokesman also speaking on morning media saying that the door is even wider open for discussions with the government. But the unions are saying that what they want is a face-to-face sit-down with the President. The Minister of Public Accounts saying that the President is in a no-win situation. If he were to sit down with the unions, he would be accused by MPs of holding up the parliamentary process and interfering with the procedures. You mentioned it's currently being debated by senators, and so for the moment the President is not going to be meeting with the unions. He did meet with them last year to discuss the pension reform, but at the moment it's in the process of being debated by MPs and senators. So the government wants to continue with its programme. The timetable is that by the end of this month it will have cleared the parliamentary hurdles, this bill, and will be headed for entering into force by the end of the summer. But the unions are determined to show that they are against this plan to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64. They are against the plan to restructure France's pension system and simplify and streamline some of the different pensions regimes which are open to different professions. They are determined to show that they are against the idea that the government should be pushing this through. You mentioned as well, Eric, the special parliamentary instrument that can be used, the article from the Constitution to bypass Parliament that does subject the government to a no confidence vote. So there is a lot at play. There is a lot at stake at the moment, but both sides not budging for the moment.
Not budging for the moment. We'll have to leave that discussion there. Live from Paris, France, our correspondent Ross Cullen. Ross, thank you for talking to us today. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.